So, in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breaches DLC, Ruin, you come across a ride in Monty's Gator Golf that shows you the story of how Monty joined the band, through Glamrock Bonnie giving him his place and his guitar. A lot of people immediately jumped to the speculation and conclusion that this was a cover-up story for Monty destroying Bonnie. However, I'm here to prove this idea wrong. I don't disagree that it's a cover story, but I don't think Monty killed Bonnie and that's what they're covering up. Rather, I think it's the excuse for the fact that Fazbear Entertainment always planned for Bonnie to leave the band. If you go to Bonnie Bowl in the Ruin DLC, you're eventually able to access the room behind Bonnie's curtain, which leads you to Bonnie's dressing room. This stands out for two reasons. One being that Bonnie, besides Monty, which we'll get to, is the only Glamrock animatronic to have their own personal stage in their themed area. And two, Bonnie is the only animatronic to have his room be in his themed area instead of on Rockstar Row. However, we know from the duffel bag logs that he did have a room in Rockstar Row at one point. So why would Bonnie have two rooms when no one else in the game does? Well, what if he didn't always have his bowling room? For whatever reason, because it's a huge corporation, they make a lot of weird decisions, Fazbear Entertainment decided to move Bonnie from being a Glamrock animatronic to being a mascot for the bowling alley, and replaced him with Monty. First, let's go over how Monty couldn't have killed Bonnie. A big hole in the theory that this is a cover-up for Bonnie's death via Monty is the fact that Monty didn't have claws before the replacement happened. The cover-up story Fazbear Entertainment had did depict Monty pre-Glamrock correctly, since the golfing area looks like it's been there for a long time, and so has Bonnie. People would have seen Monty around in that design, otherwise kids would have been upset about the inaccuracies in the ride. The stage in Gator Golf is probably Monty's old stage from his one-man jug band. In this design, we see clear as day Monty doesn't have claws, rather stubby hands, and we also do know Monty doesn't get his claws till after he's joined the band, because of once again the duffel bag logs telling us they were an upgrade solely so he could play bass. Bonnie's green room on Rockstar Row is most likely Monty's, being redecorated and rethemed for the new member. Bonnie, meanwhile, was moved to the bowling alley, behind his curtain so we had an easy access to come out and entertain the kids. This part is breaching a little more in headcanon territory, but I think the reason why they have Bonnie decorations around the bowling alley as the FNAF 1 design with the bowling shirt is because maybe they were going to retheme him, giving him a new design to match the fact that he's no longer a Glamrock. This goes with the fact that Bonnie probably being stationed at the bowling alley was a recent thing, since his new room isn't that decorated compared to the green rooms, seemingly to be just a spare room used for staff bots to test bowling at, that was in the process of being converted to his room still. Now you may be wondering, but Katie, what about the duffel bag log that says Monty got promoted to the band after Bonnie's decommission? Now, I will admit this part stumped me a tad bit myself, because it goes against everything my other evidence says about how Bonnie's decommission was after Monty joined the band. And this is kind of a stretch answer, but again, this is just a theory. The phrase used, out of commission, doesn't always mean being broken or damaged. It's not common by any means, but it can also be used for when something is just no longer being used. Bonnie, in this case, was no longer being used as a Glamrock, so he technically would be out of commission, despite being alive and well still. I get the last sentence of that specific log makes it sound like replacing Bonnie wasn't a choice with the wording, but also it could have easily as much been management just reassuring those reading the report. Bonnie's an iconic character. Replacing him and demoting him was probably a huge decision that a lot weren't on board with. My final piece of evidence is this duffel bag log, which talks about Monty not performing. Whether you want to take this into consideration or not for theorizing, you have to admit the Glamrock animatronics are those with the most personality. They aren't possessed by kids, or almost all of them aren't, depending on what you think of with Freddy. So their personalities are entirely their own and show how advanced the modern era of FNAF's timeline is. I bring this up because the main theory of why Monty would kill Bonnie, if you don't go with the idea that it was because of Bonnie hacking the animatronics, is because he was jealous and wanted to be part of the band. Obviously, this log comes from when Monty is a part of the band. So if he went through all the trouble to kill one of the members just to take his spot, why ditch the shows? It's reported as errant behavior, which means straying from the proper course. So basically, that this isn't like Monty's normal behavior. This could be about the idea that Vanny hacked the animatronics, as there's a report like this for Roxy too. But if so, why not one for Chica? If there's not one for all of them, I don't think that's the case. Rather, I think it's the same reason why Monty's so mad all the time, as shown in his green room where he's constantly breaking things and sounding angry. He's upset about Bonnie. Again, like it or not, these animatronics have big advanced personalities that sometimes need to come into play for theorizing. Monty probably did receive his guitar from Bonnie. Even the glasses, too. Freddy refers to the other Glamrocks as his friends. It's not impossible to believe Monty felt Bonnie was his friend, too. And if how much Freddy cares for Bonnie, and even shows to be fond of Monty, if Monty did kill Bonnie, would Freddy really let him strut around and perform using his dead best friend's guitar and glasses? It's in no way implied he has a problem with this. Monty probably just feels guilty he took his place now that he's dead/missing. Maybe he genuinely did look up to him, or maybe he didn't. That being said, though, who did kill Bonnie? Because if it was Monty, Fazbear Entertainment would know about it. They wouldn't leave his body behind the bowling alley lane, because the murderer would have been inside Gator Golf, so he'd be found and disposed of properly. Not to mention the injuries he has don't look broken beyond repair, or enough to replace him. After all, Monty had his entire legs be broken and still be good enough to repair and continue. Bonnie was intentionally hidden. Maybe it was the Mimic who killed him. Or maybe Vanny. Or maybe even Burn Trap. But we won't think too hard about it right now, as that's not what this video is about. But we can come to the conclusion that it wasn't Monty. To summarize, Monty was a regular animatronic, and Bonnie was part of the Glam Rocks, until Fazbear Entertainment made the decision to move Bonnie to Bonnie Bowl. They replaced him with Monty, and are most likely going to redo Bonnie before someone or something killed Bonnie and stuffed him behind the bowling alley. Monty grew bitter and sad his idol is gone and took it out on the property around the Pizzaplex. And there we have it. What did you think? I'd love to hear your own thoughts and theories in the comments. But remember, this is just that, a theory. It might be true and it might not be. But either way, thanks for taking the time to watch. I hope you all have an amazing day.